What thing is the outcast and why? What do you got? A, because it's actually done correctly. Let's keep going. What else we got out there? Raise your hand. What else we got? Any other guesses? What's different? What's the thing up there that doesn't belong? The other two are the same. Yep.
B.
B, why?
Because it's toast with cheese on it.
Because it's toast with cheese on it. That's a good guess. We got any more guesses? Then we're going to move on. Any more guesses? Then I'm going to give you the answer. No more guesses? All right. What do you got?
B, because it's not round.
B, because it's not round. The other two things are round. So those are all good guesses. Well, let me tell you what the answer is. I'm going to give it to you backwards. One of those things up there is a Papa John's pizza. The other two things are not Papa John's pizzas. So the outcast up there, the answer is C. C is the only thing up there that is a Papa John's pizza. The other two things are not. This guy right here is a piece of bread with sauce and cheese on it. Papa John's sauce, Papa John's cheese, 2 out of 3 items, Papa John's, doesn't make it a Papa John's pizza. Letter A, we got Papa John's dough. We got Papa John's sauce and Papa John's cheese. Still not a Papa John's pizza. It's not a Papa John's pizza until you slap it right, until you make a Papa John's pizza. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The obvious difference is crust color over here. This crust is quite a bit darker, right? We're going to talk about why that's the case. Would you believe me if I told you I made both of those pizzas yesterday with the same tray of dough in the same oven with the same everything? Because that's exactly what I did. All I did here is I tried to mimic what I see out in the field when I'm out there. And all I did here was slap just like is on your laminate at your dough table. That's all I did. I just slapped it just like we're supposed to be slapping it. And I got a darker crust, I got tighter borders, no blowouts, and a beautiful pizza that tastes delicious. And that's what we're here to talk about. We all ready?
Yes, sir.
Today I want you to, like I said, I want you to leave here thinking differently. I don't want you to ever think about snapshot scores again, pizza scores. I want you to worry about great pizzas. I want you to look at snapshots and only look at the pizzas. I want you guys talking about pizzas, making great pizzas, because when you measure the pizza, when you really focus on making a great pizza, what's going to happen? You're going to have a good score. So what? You're going to get good pizza scores if you focus on doing the pizza right. And that's what I want you guys doing. I want you to stop worrying about the pizza score. Start worrying about the pizza. Everybody with me? All right, so here's why. Because if you make a pizza that scores well with the customer, it's probably going to score well with Snapshot. Maybe it's a 9.5. Maybe it's an 8.75. Over time, you're going to have a great pizza score. You don't have to worry about that thing at all. But pizzas that score well with Snapshot, they don't necessarily score well with the customers. And here's exactly what I mean. Let's look at this pizza. What do we think about that pizza? Not too good, not too bad. It's a pretty basic pizza. We got some opportunities around the edge right over there at 4 and 5 o'clock. Pretty good job cutting those pepperonis and pulling them out of the cracks, right? What does that pizza grade when I grade it? 8.5. Who said that? Well done. All right, 8.45 is that grade. So we all get that grade and we go, all right, 8.45, plenty of room to get better, but not bad. I'm not really worried about that. Pretty good pizza score, guys. Here's the problem. Here's what that 8.45 looks like in real life. That is a 2 at least, at most I mean. That is a lousy pizza, and that's what we're delivering to our customers more times than not right now. We got a really big problem, and I really want us to all buy into it right now. That way when you go back to your stores, we get this out of our stores and we start making pizzas that your customers love. Again, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, got to tell you what we're going to talk about. Dough slapping. All we're talking about is edge lock, edge stretch, and docking. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk about commonly made mistakes at each stage. What your people are doing out there. I'm going to tell you what they need to be doing out there, how you can work with them to get them doing that. And more importantly, I'm going to tell you why these things are important. It's not enough for Papa John's to say, you got to roll your edges back when you slap it. Because if you don't know why that's important, you're not very likely to do it. Let's talk about docking. When you dock it the right way, we say you got to dock it center out. If we don't tell you why that's so important, it's not going to be important to you. Unless you know why it's important, it's just flat out not going to be important to you. You're going to find your own way, right? Which leads us to these quotes that I hate. These are real quotes from real team members when I'm working with people at the dough slapping table, which is every day. These are the quotes. These are 2 quotes from 2 real people. I feel like if I'm getting 9s and I'm doing fine, I don't really need a rollback. All right? This person doesn't understand what's important about the rollback. Or this person never would have said that. This person would have said, I've made a decision to ignore the standard so that I can do it my own way. Most people don't think that way. Most people want to do the right thing, It's just if they don't know why it's important, then it's not important. All right, let's look at this one down here. Everybody has their own way of doing it that makes it their own. That's my least favorite thing. I hear it all the time. I even hear, oh, well, everybody's going to settle into their own little way. That's absolutely not the case. There's one way to slap dough. It's on your wall at your slap table on the laminate. And then there's a million wrong ways to slap dough. There's only one way to slap dough to make a Papa John's pizza. That's what we're going to talk about today, all right? So I want to dig right into it if we're ready. You guys ready to go?
Yes, sir.
First thing we're going to talk about is edge lock. When you're edge locking your dough, you got two goals. We got two things we've got to get done. What are they?
Rollback.
Rollback and rollback and a 1/2 inch border. We need to get that thing to a 1/2 inch, and we got to roll it back. So what? Why? Why do we got to roll it back? I can make pizzas all day long and not roll it back once. Why do we got to do it? All right. That's right. I'm going to jump ahead just for you guys. Here's what we got. If we roll our edges back, we pull the bottom dough into where we're going to be serving the pizza, and we get that beautiful, smooth and golden brown crust right there. That's what it looks like when we get rollback. What's it look like when we don't get rollback? Looks like this right here. I want you to internalize this light color with the dark freckles. I want you to look at that. I want you to be able to identify it. And when you see it coming out of your ovens, I want you to say, no more. We got to get this. We're getting this stuff out of my store. We're not having freckles anymore. Smooth and golden is all we're going to have from now on in my store is what I want you guys thinking. So we're going to talk to you about how to get this done, how easy it is to get it done, and then we're going to execute on it. Fair enough? So there you go. Better is rolled back, better not is not rolled back. So why does it work that way? What's happening in this dough ball? Well, let me just pull this back up. What's happening in that dough ball where the same dough ball can produce this or that? What's that?
The yeast and the sugar.
The yeast and the sugar, that's exactly right. So here's what's happening. You put this sucker into the oven, the sugar caramelizes and turns brown, and you get this guy right here. If you use the top dough, there's less sugar there. It's dried out. It's been warmer at the surface. Your yeast has been able to be more active right there. You got less sugar here. So you're going to get that freckly look because it doesn't brown evenly. So we need this stuff right here at the bottom. This is what we want. This is the dough that makes a beautiful golden brown border. The problem is, look, the top dough comes all the way around. Do we see that? The top dough comes all the way around, so that this is the top of our pizza, and our top dough comes all the way around. So we need some process to get this to happen, right? Well, guess what that is in reverse? That's rollback. It's rollback when we pull the dough all the way around, so when we flip it over, we get nothing but bottom dough playing ball. That's why rollback is so important. So I want you to help your team members understand. You don't just say, roll your edges back. Papa John's wants you to roll your edges back. Talk to them. Tell them what I just told you. Here's the deal. We roll back our edges because of this. Here's what it does to the finished product. And here's how you do it. And then show them. And then bake the pizzas. Let them come out of the oven and let them see with their own eyes. Holy cow, that's the same dough created two totally different products. Right? We on board? So then what do we got? What's the deal with this size? Why is the size so important? Let me go again. Let me ask that again. That's my fault. If the rollback gives you crust color, what does the size do? Why is that so important? Again, you've got to make it important to your team members. Why is it so important?
It helps you avoid blowouts.
You're on the right track. That's great. So here's the deal. You've just now allocated this dough right here. You just now said, hey, when you grow up, you're going to be crust. When you grow up, you're going to be pizza. And if you get too much over here, obviously you're robbing from over here. And that's the biggest problem there. When you get too much here, you're going to have a thinner center. And we're going to talk later about how important that thin center is and how to avoid it. But that's really the base, that's the gist of it. This only needs to be a 1/2 inch to get a full rollback and to make sure we've got as much dough in the middle as we possibly can have. Are we all on board with that?
Yes, sir. All
right, well then, what did I tell you we were going to talk about? We're going to talk about commonly done wrong ways to do it. I guess that's a really good way to put it. Common mistakes at the rollback section. Two things going on out there. First guy, you hired him from Domino's, and he's just crimping an edge. I want to crimp an edge right quick. When I'm just crimping an edge, I don't care about rollback, because I didn't know it was important. All I know is I need to get a really good, consistent border fast. And I did that. And if I measure it, it's going to be a 1/2 inch. The problem is, what's that pizza going to look like? Freckled, splotchy. No matter what I do right here, I'm going to put sauce on, I'm going to put cheese on, I'm going to cut it. No matter what I do, it's It's dead from the moment I started. So we got to get the rollback. We're not going to get the rollback by crimping an edge. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way in a minute, but I got one more thing I see a lot out there. So that guy is a crimper. This guy right here is a scruncher. So let me describe a scruncher. So when I show you how to create the rollback, this is going to make more sense. But a scruncher, the scruncher scrunches. He scrunches right here at this knuckle, maybe here too. They're too much movement on their hands. When you do it right, there's no movement all the way through here. All it is one motion moving. And I'm going to show you, so don't worry. But here's what your scruncher does. Your scruncher scrunches it like this. And look at my fingers. So your scruncher says to himself, I'm getting rollback. Look, it's literally rolling back. How can you tell me I'm not getting rollback? The problem is that that's not really rollback. This is what you've got there. There's no rollback at all. You just sort of dug a ditch under your edge. So your scrunchers, I've got rollback. No, you don't. You absolutely don't. There's no rollback there. So the scrunchers, I see it's the most common one. But the crimpers are out there too. They're just in a hurry and they're just crimping an edge because rollback isn't important to them. It will be important to them as soon as you tell them why it's so important. Does that make sense? All right. Well, then how do we get it right? What do we do to get the rollback the right way? Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to coat the bottom so we can prove that I'm getting it. Because if I can't do it, then why are we here? All right, so here's how we do it. So when I'm working with people on rollback, the first thing I do is I give them this little exercise. Don't underestimate the value of this exercise. Don't take for granted that people know how to hold their hand. This exercise is going to get them rolling their borders back. You get your hands down flat. You pick up your pointers, you touch your middles, and you pop your knuckles. If you can get them to go through that right there, they've got rollback. Because what happens with the rollback is you start it right here with this part of your hand, and then it mashes straight down, and you pull back, and that forces all the dough around your fingertip like this. All right? That's how it works, and it comes all the way to my fingertip. It doesn't come halfway up. It comes all the way to my fingertip. That's what rollback is. Again, here it is. Flat hands, flat hands. I mash down with the big fat part of my finger, and I pull it back just like that. I don't have to stand on my toes. I just like doing it. Right there, just like that. Pull it around. That's rollback right there. The only way to get that to happen, flat hands, mashing down straight, oozing it out the fingertips. You can't give it, like here's the deal. If I go right here and I'm too steep, all I'm going to do is crimp an edge. I'm just going to crimp that edge if I go too steep. Likewise, if I curl my hands, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm giving the dough room to hide up here. I don't want to give it any room to hide. I want to force it right around there. Are we all on board? All right, because we're going to move on. So that's edge lock. That's how you get edge lock. Here's what you're getting out there more times than not. You're getting the crimpers. You're getting the scrunchers. This is how you work with these guys to get the rollback that you want. And why is rollback so important? What are you going to tell your people? You're saying, hey, we got to change the way we're doing this. We got to roll these borders back. Why? Why do we got to do it? So what now?
So we get the nice, beautiful crust.
So we get the nice, beautiful crust. Well, how does that work? Because the sugar caramelizes, and the good sugar's at the bottom of the dough ball, and we're going to bring it around so it can play ball and give us this pizza right here. That's how we got to talk about this stuff, or it's just not going to be important. So here we go. Here's what we see instead. I see those light splotchy edges. Look at all the blowouts. I see the light splotchy, light and splotchy, light and splotchy, blowout, blowout. I see the blowouts and the light and splotchy. So we're going to talk about those blowouts for a minute. What step causes or prevents blowouts? The step that has the biggest impact on your blowouts is what?
Stretching.
Edge stretching. That's exactly right. Now, why is that? What is it? What's happening to cause that blowout?
The gas that's in the, on the dough, the edge,
That's pretty fair. There's a little more to it than that, so that's what we're going to talk about. So the edge stretch, I want to tell you why I'm talking about these goals. What's your two goals when we edge stretch?
yeah, we're border.
Yep.
Get rid of the fingerprints.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Get rid of the fingerprints and define it. Define that border and get it to a 1/4 of an inch. That 1/4 of an inch is where your blowouts come from. Because if you get that 1/4 of an inch, you're going to have a great pizza. Now, what's the pushback I always get? Because I usually get it in this class, but nobody's giving me any pushback. So I'm at your slap table, and I'm working with you, and I tell you, no, you've got to get this thing to a 1/4 of an inch. And I show you how small a 1/4 of an inch is, and it's just impossibly small. So your natural pushback is what?
But there's no way we can do that.
There you go. Snapshot says it's got to be an inch. Now what you're doing is you're going to make all my people make pizzas that are going to get bad snapshot scores. And that's one of the fallacies I want to get rid of. I want you guys to understand that your crust isn't created at your dough table. Where's your crust created?
Sauce.
Sauce. Your 1-inch sauce border makes your 1-inch crust. And that's the answer. So what we got to get is we got to get some of this stuff out of their heads at the dough table. We're not making a crust. We don't say crust. We say edge, border. I don't care what you can call it, Anthony, if you want. We're not saying crust. Because if I'm thinking crust, I'm going to make a crust. So we're not making crust here. We're making a border. So here's the deal. We're going to make... you're not watching me, so I'll put it on video. You're making your 1/2-inch border, you're defining your 1/2-inch border, then you put the sauce on and you make it a crust. That's just to get the shape right. So the reason that causes blowouts is because if the math is wrong, we need a 1/4-inch border and a 1-inch sauce border. That gives us that gives us this right here. I'll just go ahead and pull it up. 1/4-inch border, 1-inch sauce border gives you this. That's a Papa John's pizza. You get that math wrong, you're going to get blowouts. That's this right here. That's a blowout. That's a terrible pizza that we're serving every day, and we've got to stop serving it. So that's going to be prevented when we get our goals right. Remember, our goal has to be define the border, make it smaller, keep our center volume. If you're talking about the goals, then they're not going to do this. What's the first guy out there doing? What's the most commonly done wrong item at the stretch part of it? That's right, wax on, wax off. We're swimming. We're swimming out there. That's because we got our goals wrong. What's my goal here? Yes, you're right, but no, I'm a dough slapper who just did it wrong. What was my goal? I had the wrong goal. Yeah, that's right. So my goal here was to flatten it out. I had a dough ball, and now I flattened it out, and I thought that was my goal. If I knew my goal was to define the border and keep the center volume, I would have done something totally different. But what people think they're doing here is turning it into a disc, turn it into a pizza. When you get your goal wrong, you get your execution wrong. And that's what we're doing out there. And we don't talk about it enough because of that quote. Everybody's got their own way to do it. That's just that's Larry's way of doing it. So that's the problem. We got to get this right here. We flatten those hands out. My hands are completely flat on the dough. I'm working the edge. I'm going to get a good spot and I'm going to stop. And this is what we're doing right here. Relaxed fingers, flat hands, digging against that 1/2-inch border we just created. Now we're creating a well-defined 1/4-inch border. And that's how it works. And then you sauce this thing, right? And you get that pizza we were looking at. But if we sauce this right here that's got a 1/2-inch border, which is what we see a lot out there, you're going to get your blowouts. You're going to get over-docking. Why? Because you got to dock that sucker to death to keep it from blowing out. So they think, well, I fix blowouts right here. You don't fix blowouts right here. You fix blowouts right here by making it or by doing it right. Fair enough? Does that make sense? Yeah. So the first guy we got to watch out for and train is this swimmer. All right. So what's the other most common way of doing it wrong that I see out there? Well, I'll tell you. Now, knuckle stretching we're going to talk about. That's a great deal. So here's the deal. So this guy right here thinks, I've got to get under that dough. This guy right here. And he's the easiest guy to work with because he's doing the right motion. He's just getting under the dough. What's happening there? I'm not getting this thing any smaller. That thing's not getting any smaller. It's staying the right size. It's staying the wrong size. Something's happening though. What's happening to this pizza that's so bad?
It's getting thin.
Flatten my dough. I flatten the center. Gonna have flat center volume. And what else? This has got two things wrong. Flat center volume and blowouts. Because I didn't make it smaller. And these guys, it's well defined, but what was his goal? To create a crust. To flatten it out and create a crust. Well, by golly, I just did that. So again, the reason we keep going over this is I want us to work with people differently. I don't want you to just go, yeah, well, that's how Ed does it, so that's pretty good. Ed's pizza's 10, every time he gets a shop, it's an 8.7, and what more going to ask for him? You can ask for him to make a Papa John's pizza because he's wearing a Papa John's hat and a Papa John's shirt, so he needs to be making a Papa John's pizza. I want to pull this up for a second. Let me tell you the power of doing this thing right. This pizza right here is delicious and beautiful, and it drives repeat business. This pizza right here, what's the only thing it's got going for it? There's only one thing driving sales at this store. What is it? National Marketing Fund. The only thing selling this pizza is our commercials. People see them, they order pizza. This pizza right here, that's $1 million restaurant or better, because people order that pizza, they eat that pizza, and they love it, and they order it more often. Does that make sense? This is what's at stake. So when I come into a town, I come into Colorado Springs, never been here in my life, and I want coffee. What I don't do is look for the best deal on coffee. What I don't do is call a local guy and ask him where's a good cup of coffee around here. I don't do any of that. I go to Starbucks because they give me this every single time. So they've got my repeat business. They drive repeat business because their product is great every time. We've got that too. It's just a little harder to do than pouring a cup of coffee, and that's the problem. Now, it's not so hard to do that we can't all go do it right, but this is what we serve more times than not. If we get this cranking out all the time, we don't have any more comp problems. We're driving repeat business, we're driving customer loyalty, and we're driving, why the heck would you order Dunkin' Donuts? That stuff's garbage. You're driving that. So that's what we have. We have repeat business driving pizzas. We just got to do it right. And that's what's at stake here, and that's why I wanted to talk about that. Here's the other thing that's happening when we stretch it wrong. When we stretch it wrong, we flatten out that middle, we drive all the dough into that crust, and it's lousy at every stage. The pizza you're eating is lousy, and then that big, doughy, dense crust is also lousy. That's not how our crust is supposed to be. Obviously, what did we say? If the bread's not here, where is it? It's hiding in that crust. The crust is going to be an inch because you left a 1-inch sauce border, right? But there's just way too much dough in that crust. Here's how it needs to look. This is a Papa John's pizza. And we're going to talk about this for a minute. This, when I eat this pizza, it's delicious because I'm eating our delicious bread. We've got the best dough. It tastes the best. That is an amazing pizza. We've got more bread than cheese. We got more bread than sauce. That's the right ratio. So I want you to think about it as a ratio. It's not just, remember the pizza up there that was Papa John's sauce, cheese, and bread, still not a Papa John's pizza because you didn't get the recipe right. So let's talk about a recipe. What do I mean by recipe right here?
What's the ingredients in the dough?
Yeah, that's how we normally think about it. Think about a bite of pizza as a recipe. So, all right, you got this much dough in your mouth, and this much cheese, and that much sauce. Obviously, the recipe is different here. Does that make sense? So the taste is going to be different. The texture is going to be different. Everything's different about it if you do it wrong, even with the same ingredients. To prove my point, I got a gin and tonic in each hand. In this hand, I got 2 parts gin, 1 part tonic, and a squeeze of lime. In this hand, I got 1 part tonic, 1 part gin, and a squeeze of lime. So I got my ratios off. This is a great drink. This is a lousy drink. Same ingredients, lousy drink, great drink. It's exactly like that when you take a bite of that pizza. If you don't get this right, you tasted too much what? You look at it right there. What are we tasting too much of?
Cheese.
Too much cheese. Cheese is great. Our cheese is great. But that's not the recipe. Our recipe is that much cheese with twice as much bread, and that's a Papa John's pizza. That's a bite of Papa John's pizza. So you got to get the recipe right, or it doesn't taste as good. It doesn't eat as good. Does that make sense? You got the McDonald's of the world out there spending a ton of R&D dollars worrying about the mouthfeel of their chicken nuggets. The mouthfeel. People, I don't like mushrooms. Why? Because it doesn't feel right in my mouth. I don't like them. Just like this. This pizza doesn't feel right in your mouth. It's just not satisfying. That's what our pizzas are. That's why they're so good. And again, that's why they drive repeat business. Everybody with me so far? All right, so if we're going to stay on this theme, this is a recipe. That much bread, that much sauce, that much cheese. There's another common ingredient in those three. What is it? We haven't talked about it yet. Another common ingredient I see out there? Gel. We get gel encroaching on our pizzas more times than you guys think. What do you think gel comes from? Let's start a list. Where's gel coming from?
Docking.
Over docking? Okay, let's keep a list going. We got docking. What else? Cold dough. So we got cold dough, docking and cold dough. Anything else? Expired dough, yeah. Cold sauce, pushing the dough. So that doesn't seem like we can zero in on any one answer. Now, are you with me? I can't tell, what is it? Cold dough? Is it old dough? I don't know what exactly causes gel. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. What do your customers think when they get a pizza with a gel layer? What do they say when they call you?
It's not cooked.
It's not cooked. How scary is it to think you just got some food that wasn't cooked all the way through?
Pretty scary.
Yeah, how likely are you to go back to that place for a while?
Yeah.
Not very likely. They don't cook my pizza all the way through. Well, the problem is your pizza was cooked all the way through. It wasn't slapped right. Because gel is created, I'll tell you in a minute. So we are going to go on a metaphor we're going to stay on for a minute. So inside of this dough, we're not going to call this a dough ball anymore. Inside of this dough ball, this is the country called Dobalia. All right? Inside of the country of Dobalia is all of our constituents. Those are all the people. Every pocket of gas you see right there is our pocket of, those are our people in our country of Dobalia. You with me? Now, what song did I come out to? Eye of the Tiger. What was the first lyric? Rising Up. These people are going to rise up in the oven and create delicious bread. Right? That's all. They're going to rise up in the oven and create delicious bread unless what? Unless I kill them. If I kill them, they're gone and dead and they can't rise up. You with me? If I kill them, they're gone and they can't play ball anymore. What do they turn into?
Gel.
They turn into gel, because that's what dead people turn into when you try to cook them. They turn into gel, and they don't turn into delicious bread. And that's the problem. So here's the deal. We deliver to your doors twice a week the best dough ball you could possibly ever make. The best dough ball ever made by a man. Right here, delivered to your door twice a week. But we murder it, and we don't turn it into a proper Papa John's pizza, and we kill all of our people. We got no people in here to rise up and turn into delicious bread, and it turns into gel. It turns into that thin center volume, and it's just not good, right? Gel doesn't taste good. We think it's not cooked all the way through. Now we're scared. We don't want to come back here. That's the problem. That all happens at the edge stretch. If I don't edge stretch it right, I'm going to kill my people, right? Somebody said docking. Yes, docking kills people too. That's really its only purpose, is to kill people. But it's just to get rid of the really bad ones that are hiding in there at the cost of a couple of good ones. It's really fine. All right, so are we with me? So here's what I want you to take away from this. Our process is designed so that we can turn a dough ball, we can turn Dobalia into a pizza, and none of our people die. So we turn Dobalia into a flat disc, a round country of Dobalia. We turn into a flat disc. Look at those flat hands. Look at my relaxed fingers. Look at me cutting into that border, not digging, right? Digging kills people. Swimming kills people. I want a really nice, tight border. I want that definition. And then when I'm all done, I'm going to dock it. We're going to talk about docking in a minute, but we're just going to dock this sucker. And when I'm done, I've taken my dough ball, the country of Dobalia. I've taken it, I've turned it into a disc, and look, they're all still there. All of my people are still there. I'm still going to slap this thing out, but they're all still there. Here's the other thing we got going on. I'll slap another one. Somebody mentioned knuckle stretching. I want to get to knuckle stretching right quick. Can we move on to knuckle stretching?
Yeah.
Why do people knuckle stretch out there? I think it's because it's shrinking back on them a lot. I'm going to do this one wrong. So here we go. Here's a wrong crimping. And more times than not, I see borders too big when we start. I see 3/4 inch borders right here because we think we're creating a crust. And then I start swimming and digging. And then I flip her over. I probably flipped it over right off the bat. All right? All right, so now here's what I got. Now, all right, if you tell me your people aren't docking like that, you're lying to me. This is how they're docking. We got to quit that. When I slap this thing out, it immediately gets thin, and I got to do what? I got to do this. This is the worst thing you can ever do to your Dobalians. Why? Because I'm murdering them. I'm murdering them. I'm murdering them. There's nothing there at all. This is the worst thing you can ever do to them. Second worst. You know what the first worst is? No, this is the worst thing you can do. This is committing genocide. Each time you do this, it's the worst thing you could do to your people. And then I got nothing in here. No people. What few people I did have, they scurried to the borders over here, and I'm going to get what? I'm going to get blowouts. Big border, thin middle. I see it every single day, every single day. All right, we ready? We ready to move on? What's the next thing we're going to talk about? Docking. But before we go on, I want to recap. What are your two goals when we're edge stretching?
Define the border.
Define the border and make it.
3/4 inch.
Yep, and I guess today we're going to put a third goal in there because you've got to do all that while maintaining your center volume. You got to do that while maintaining your center volume. So now that I've rolled back my border for golden brown crust, now that I've made it 1/2 inch and I stretched it correctly, creating a 1/4 inch border, well defined with a good center volume, I've got to dock it. So when we dock it, would you believe me if I told you you got two goals there too? Well, you do. What are they? What are your two goals when you're docking?
Dock 8 to 10 times.
Sorry?
Dock 8 to 10 times.
8 to 10 times is one of the goals. What's the other? Center out. Which one of those two goals is the most important? Center out's the most important. And which one do we do the least often? Yeah, that's right. So I got to tell you, when I learned how to slap dough, nobody ever told me I had to do it center out. I imagine the laminate told me I was supposed to, but I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know why it was so important. Nobody ever told me, so I didn't do it. I just docked it like most people do. So we're going to talk about why it's so important. So let me get a really nice 1/4-inch border going on so we can dock it, so I can show you what's so important about docking it center out. Now obviously we know that that docker is killing people, so that's why it's so important not to do it more than 8 to 10 times. We don't want to kill too many people. We just want to find the bad ones in there and make sure we can get it. And we could get the bad ones out in about 8 to 10 times. So this is my 1/4-inch border. This is my fabulous definition that I worked so hard for. Here's all of my constituents of dough balia. If I dock it right, I touch the crust with 2 impressions. I'm sorry, I called it a crust. I touched our edge twice with 1 pull. Why? How big is our border? How far apart are the needles? 1/2 inch. So mathematically, if I pull this back, I could touch the edge 1 time or 0 times. I can't touch it 2 times. Look at this good definition I got right here. What we do instead out there is this right here. I dock it right along, parallel with the crust. I've flattened out my crust. Look, it used to be 1/4 inch. We can even measure it. It used to be 1/4 inch. And now, the same border that used to be 1/4 inch is over 1/2 inch because I flattened it out. It used to be tall, and then it just got fat. Does that make sense? Why? Because we docked it parallel with the crust. We got to get our people docking perpendicular with the crust so that we're not getting any impressions on here. What are so bad about the impressions? Well, they flatten your edge out. The edge you worked so hard for. So when we do it right, we do it perpendicular with this edge we just created, and we barely touch it at all. And we get all the people in dough balia, we get all the bad ones gone. 8 to 10 times is all it takes, and all the bad ones are gone. Remember, this isn't and never will help you prevent blowouts. The blowout's going to happen if you don't get your border size right. All this does is get rid of the middle bubbles, the bad people that are hiding in there. So when I stretch this thing out, I'll even slap it out. Slap this sucker out. I slap it out, I put it on a screen. So I'm slapping out. You'd think this is pretty violent on my dough balians, but I put that sucker on a screen, and what do I get? I still have all of my people. All of my people are there. What are they going to do in the oven? They're going to rise up and turn into delicious bread. They're all there. All I did was put them into apartments. They used to be in big estates, and I just put them into a city. And that's what's at stake here. That's what's at stake is the taste of the pizza, the look of the pizza, and whether we enjoy the pizza or not. So when we dock it wrong, we kill too many people. We get gel layers and thin middles. We flatten out our crust. Let's pull up a few more product shots. Let's just go right here. When we do it wrong, we get the splotchy crust. That's no rollback. When we do it wrong, we get the thin middles. That's from swimming. That's from digging under the crust. When we do it wrong, we get these blowouts. What are those blowouts from? Well, we know that's from not getting your border small enough. Look at this. This is my favorite one. I wish it was bigger. Look at what it's next to. It's next to a cheese stick, and it looks just like a cheese stick with green peppers on it. That's what we're serving out there. People aren't ordering cheese sticks with green peppers. They're ordering pizzas. And when they order pizza from us and they get, well, I'll just keep saying it a million times. When they order pizza from you and they get this, they're going to keep, you've got them for life. You've got them hooked. It's just not common enough. So I hope you guys understand. So here, let's look at some skins. Common skins, I see them all the time. Let's do it again. Inch thick, thin middle. A little bit less than an inch. Look at that big rough mound up there. It's going to be a big freaking mess of dough. Big border, thin middle. Big border, thin middle. This one, I think we have time. So this one, the reason I made this is I slapped it out to show them, here's my definition. Here's the few dock marks around the border. And then I'm going to show you the one that was right next to it. Look at the guy right next to it. That's what was on the rack. Look at him compare. That's an 1.5 inch border along the bottom there. If you got that much, we know it's going to cause blowouts. And you've got paper thin center volume. That's what the deal is. See all the dock marks? The dock marks are there because they think, well, heck, I'm getting blowouts. I got to dock this thing. See, so you're feeding the fire in this. I want to repeat that. You're feeding the fire. You're getting blowouts. You go, oh man, I've got to dock this sucker more. And you're still getting blowouts. I got to dock it even more. And you just exacerbate the problem when you do that. Does that make sense? So that's docking. You got to get that sucker 8 to 10 times, and you got to do it center out. How am I doing on time? All right. So let me tell you what we're about to do. We're about to bring some people up here. I want to work with people. I want to tell you why. So it's one thing for me to preach at you. I don't want to preach at you. I want to work with people. I want to work with some people who are a self-described scruncher or crimper. Just something, if you saw something up here that you self-describe as, I want you to come up here if you want to work. We've got some guys who are going to work for the shy folks. If you're shy and you don't want to be on the center stage, come over here. There's no mics. But if you want to work with me, I want to work with somebody, and I want everybody else to benefit from that, because I want you to see how to approach these problems. Because again, I want you to leave here and change the way you approach dough slapping. I don't want you to see, because I see it over and over and over again. Let's pull these suckers out. Guess what happens when I see these pizzas coming out of the ovens? Nothing. Guess what I hear people coaching? Nothing. I never hear anything about this. I never hear anybody go, man, that dough slapper's got to work on his rollback. Nothing. Never. I will get the occasional remake. You call for a remake. Who remakes the pizza? The same person makes the same pizza. So the remake function is useless unless you work with it. So before you come up here, I just want to show you this. So this is one such occasion where I walked into a store. I saw this pizza coming out of the oven. And I go, well, we got to remake that one, so let's get a remake going. And let me work with the guy. So I work with him at the slap table. I took 10 minutes. Obviously, I had to make the pizza, so I'm just talking him through while I'm making it, just like I did with you guys, telling him what's important and why. I make 2 pizzas, one for the customer and one because I want this guy to understand what they need to look like, because that's the first step. If you see what it needs to look like, there's no denying. You can't hide behind I didn't know anymore. Just like you guys. You guys can't leave here and go, well, I didn't know it was important. You're going to know now. So I need you to make your people understand. You see this pizza and you go, this is what pizzas are supposed to look like. Here's what you were making. Do you see the difference? And you go, yes. 10 minutes of working with this guy, and this is the very next pizza. The very next time he touched dough was right there. That's not because I'm so awesome. That's because it's easy. All you've got to do is do it. You just work with the guys on their problem. The pizza tells you what the problems are. What's his problem? Blood, no, yeah, absolutely. What's his problem on the procedure? No rollback, and what? What's happening here? Blowouts tell you that the stretch was wrong, that the border, so the pizza tells you what the problem is. You just identify the problem on the pizza and work with the dough slapper. And that's what drives me crazy is I'll see the pizzas come out of the oven. I have just never heard anybody go, well, you're not rolling your edges back. Well, you're not, nobody ever identifies this stuff. So please leave here, go to your stores, and start to identify that stuff. The pizza tells you everything you need to know about the dough slapper. So the pizza's going to tell you what you need to work on. I got to work with this guy on rollback and edge stretch. So let's get up here. Let me get somebody to come up here and slap some dough with me. 10 years, perfect. That's plenty of time to develop bad habits. Let's see what you got. Yep, just do your thing. All right, what do we got? No, keep going. What do we got? Pretty. So let me in here for a second. Let's see what you got. Pretty good. We all thought she had the rollback, didn't we? Do we see any rollback? We just got fooled because I thought she had good rollback. You guys thought she had good rollback because she's a scruncher. She had her hands cupped. The dough went hiding up here instead of mashing out. It's an easy fix. I'm not worried about it. She's got a great border size. Let's see what else you got. Yep. You guys tell me, what do I got to work on?
Cupping the hand.
Flat that left hand. When she flattens that left hand, flatten it. Pause for a second. Let's look at this for a second. Look at this. She flattened that hand out and she went to this, which is picture perfect. This is where she was with that cupped hand. The moment she flattened it out, I couldn't do it any better. So that's what we're working with. Now you're gonna get back down there and cup that hand again. But the idea is now you know to think about it. It'll only take you a day as long as you're thinking about it. You flatten those hands. The next thing I want to do is get her to stop swimming. But that's a win. We just got a win, so we just roll with it. And then when I work with her again, I want you to stop swimming because right now she's killing a bunch of people out here. So this time, this was your motion before. It was about that long. It was wiping like that. I want that motion to be just barely. Just stop as soon as you start. Short motion, short motion, short motion every time. That's beautiful. Hands cupped. There it is. So see, she's going to make phenomenal pizzas now Not immediately. She's got to work on about 2 dough trays worth of this, and she's got it. Yeah, I mean, this is great stuff right here. Obviously, I know you dock it right.
Yes.
Because how easy is it to dock it 8 to 10 times center out? Very easy. So you dock it right. You're going perpendicular with your border instead of straight. All right. So here's what I know you guys are going to start filing out. So I want to do something. I want to tell you what we need to do from here. We need to start talking this way in our stores. We need to start identifying problems at the oven. We see the pizzas, they tell us the whole story. We work with our dough slappers. Every time you see a pizza come out and you don't address the problems, you just gave your stamp of approval on that dough slapper. Does that make sense? So we need to get out and start talking differently about this. We need to start telling our people why this is important. And we need to get on Cornerstone, get our people on Cornerstone, and we got a 10-minute crash course on what you just saw here. It's 10 minutes, so that doesn't take, barely takes 10 minutes to watch. So watch the video, and it just kind of sets the foundation so you can talk to it. Hey, you remember, 1/4 inch. Hey, you remember, golden brown edges. This is how we need to start talking about it. So you guys are free to go, and you guys are free to stay. We can keep working with you. I'm good. What you do. I like the cocoa because it feels like Dustinator and it's fun and it smells great. So we just do it like you normally do, Daniel. Right? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
So Daniel's going to do it like he normally does. Try to get it in the screen, and you guys identify what we've got to work with him on. Yep, go ahead. I need you guys to identify it. What's he doing well? He's rolling back his borders, and I can tell you from here. Hold on, don't start yet. That's about as good as anybody can do it. He's got his size and his rollback. So guess what I don't need to do? I don't need to work with him on rollback. That's awesome. So let's keep going. Great job on rollback. Let's get some Dustinator. Now you're going to do edge stretch. I already know what I'm going to work with him. Can you guys identify it? He's digging, but it's going to be an easy fix. What's wrong with him is his hand. And when you're done, I want your when you're done before you flip it over. This right hand is cupped. What did I tell you about your hands? Flat. When you cup your hand, you're way too thin here. What are you doing to your people? He's killing his people with his cupped hand. So I've got to get that hand flat. And when I get that hand, actually, look here. Some of his border is right. Some of it is too thick. When I get his hands flat, which is all I'm going to do. Are you going that direction? All right. So when I get his right hand stationary, his fingers relaxed and his hands flat, he's not going to thin it out and kill his people here. He's going to pull out the definition of that crust. I'm sorry, that edge. And he's not going to kill his people. He's got a great pizza, by the way. I can tell he makes a great pizza. So all I need you to do is flatten that hand out and relax those fingertips. And then keep going, keep going. I can tell that his hand isn't close enough to the edge. I'm just going to keep going. See, I'm just bringing the edge to his hand. Because he's going to understand what that feels like now. Because that feels very different than what he was doing. Once he feels that, he goes, oh my God, I get it. Because it feels it's a very specific way it feels when those fingers are hitting that edge. So you just bring him the edge. Now he knows, oh geez, that's what I do. Does that make sense? And that's all I got to do with Daniel to make him making the best pizza he's ever made in his life. And he's already making a great pizza. He's got all of his people alive here. Some of them are dead here, but that's because what he was doing with his cupped hand. And he's got a great pizza. That's a great pizza. Well done, Daniel.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Somebody said they were a scruncher. You're a scruncher? What's your name?
Jason.
Jason, where are you from?
Plymouth, Indiana.
All right. Jason from Indiana, who's been slapping dough for how long?
5 years.
Jason from Indiana, who's been slapping dough for 5 years. Let's see what you got. A self-described scruncher. All right. Let's see what you got, Jason. See him scrunching. Do we see any cocoa coming up? Actually, I like this one because he's not just scrunching. He's got his hands separated. I'm going to have a field day with him. All right, don't go yet. All right, let me in here so we can talk about what we got. All right, so we got these rub marks because we were rubbing the dough. Our hands weren't connected. So I can fix this in a second. I want to see the rest of your procedure. Look, no rollback. He thought he had rollback because he was seeing it up here, but this is what he just made. No rollback. He's going to have what?
Splotchy edge.
Splotchy edge, yeah. But you got to give credit where credit is due. That's a great size. You did the size just right. All right, so let's see the rest of it. All right, he's doing what? He's digging. So this is my whole point, guys. My whole point is now I want you to identify this stuff at your slap table and work with it right then and there because people don't understand that digging is so bad. So you're going to say, okay, here's the deal. When you dig, you're thinning it out here, creating a gel layer. Your border's not getting smaller, so you're going to get blowout. Now you know how to talk to them, and then you've got to identify it and then fix it. So let's fix it. Let me grab a dough ball. guys hush, we're trying to have a class over here. All right, here we go. So watch this. I want you to watch this because this is the easiest way to get rollback going. This is my favorite thing to do. First, let's, for the sake of the class, let's get your hands flat. Pick up your pointers, touch your middles. Yep, now bring them all together, all your fingers together, and pop your knuckles. Do that a few times because you weren't doing it. This is going to take you a minute to get. This is the new thing you're going to be doing, right? All right? Plus, your hand is going to be flat on the dough. You're not going to be you're flat on the dough, touching the dough with this part of your hand, right there. All right? Don't go yet, but get your fingers set up. Get your fingers overlapping. So watch this. Here's what I want you to do. Flex them. Yep, now get your fingertips on them. Now watch this. Here's all you do. You just do it for him. What's he got? I just did it for him. So now he's got, it's going to take more than once. I do that a few times, and now I've worked his body exactly how he needs to do it to get a rollback. And that's all you got to do. You just do it for him. Not literally. You do it for him with their own hands, and then you got a rollback. So I just do that a few more times, and he starts to understand, oh, this is how you move your hands. Just like when I was bringing the edge to him. Once you feel that, you got it. But he just never knew what to look for before. All right, let's try it again. Or do you want to try it on your own? Yep, you've already got it going, so just keep it going. It's a wave. I don't love, now, so, hold on. So here's what happened. It's always going to happen. He did it a few times because I already had a rollback started. All you got to do is kind of keep it going on. But he went back to his cupped hands. The dough had somewhere to hide, so it didn't come around. You got to keep them flexed. You got to keep them flexed. This forces it out. You got it. And don't scrunch. Yeah, so it's a process. Let's do it a few more times. Here, let's come around here, and let's do it one more time. Get your hands set up, and let me do it for you. I just do it for him. That's all you do. That's all you do. You just mash the hand down and bring the wrist up. Mash the hand down and bring the wrist up. What your problem is you're cupping right here. So yeah, you do it this way, and that's what forces it around here. When you cup, again, you give the dough room to hide up here. It doesn't force it out. What you're doing is forcing the dough out around. All right? So finish that up, and then we'll work on your stretch. Your stretch is easy. Everybody getting it? Is this working? All right, very good.
Hey Andy, I'm going to interject real quick. We have some snapshot analysts back here in the back who are teaching people how to grade pizzas on a box. The moral of this story is pizza grading should not take more than 5 minutes. We're shooting for graded pizza in 2 minutes, right? If you go to your restaurant and you're working with your operator, you're working with your GM, and it takes them 10 minutes to grade that pizza, no. If it takes them 10 minutes to grade a pizza, they're not going to do it. We want to grade a pizza in 2 minutes or less. We do that on the box. If you want to come take a look at how we do this, come on back here. We have 4 pizzas freshly delivered, and we'll walk through some pizza grading with you guys.
All right. Do you want to come up here and do one, or just do it back there, Jordan? All right. So here's what, now we got him, we don't have him fixed, but we're on the right path. You understand the problem there. So now we're going to work with his stretch. He's got to get his hands flat. So start your stretch. Yep, get them flat, keep them, don't, so you just go flat, keep them flat. I'm just going to flatten them out for him, go. Small motions, small motions. And so he's doing better, he's still cupping, but it's an easy fix. You understand, all I got to do is identify the problem, keep your hands flat, live on the edge. Remember, I'm doing this for him. I'm bringing the edge to him. And that's really all we're doing. Does this make sense? So obviously we're not going to fix them in 2 dough balls, but that's how we do it. We identify the problem, we solve the problem by working it, and that's what we do. So I can work with you guys. I can keep working with you guys. You guys can file out as you want to go, but we're just going to keep doing this and keep talking through it as we want to. All right?